I'm Thomas Tam. I come from the Department of Cultural and Creative Arts, the Education University of Hong Kong. To me, globalization, it means students are aware of global matters, global issues. For example, when we talk about different kinds of people, different kinds of culture, we know about the background, we know about how they come to act like this, how to behave like this, what are the problems facing, what are the contexts. So to me, globalization, it means a better understanding of different people in different parts of the world besides their own culture. I think it is really important for my students to understand people around themselves. Not only their parents, not only their friends they know, but different parts of the world. As I mentioned that kind of understanding, it will be very important for them to develop themselves, to interact with others, and to know more about what is happening in the world and why this is happening. So to me, globalization, it is a kind of awareness, it is a kind of understanding, it is a kind of care about others and ourselves. I think it is important for every people, for everybody. Of course, for teachers, if they have a more conscious mind about global development or globalization, they can share their views with their students, and they also can help to develop that kind of attitude or that kind of sensitivity or awareness among their students. I have been teaching the course, it is a GE course called The Sculpture and Evolution of Aesthetics and Body Consciousness for the last few years. This course are for students coming from different programs, so it is not major bounded. In this course, there are two major aspects. The first one is to appreciate sculpture from different periods of the Western civilization, from ancient Egypt to Rome, to Greek, to Renaissance, to modern and contemporary world. And the other part is to discuss or to investigate the contemporary body phenomenon. So I think the second part is more related to globalization, especially when we talk about the contemporary body culture, different parts of the world. The Western civilization and the Chinese or Oriental civilization, they conceptualize bodies in a different way. To give you an example, for example, to see the female body, the Western civilization, for a long time, they value female body which are very healthy, good looking, and slim, of course, with the appreciation of the beauty of the body. For the Chinese civilization, it is more about the internal virtues of female instead of focusing on the body. It is an example. So all these kinds of attitudes or ways of seeing have been incorporated or penetrated into various walks of our life. For example, in movies, dramas, posters, newspaper photos. So I will ask our students to investigate this kind of phenomenon within these visual cultural matters. What I have just mentioned, like comics, like videos, like movies, and then they will try to relate what are presented in the visual cultural phenomenon with their own culture. How this has come all the way through, why the Chinese people emphasize the internal virtue of female rather than the external beauty of women. So that's to me a kind of globalization issue. Different conceptions framed by different culture, by different kinds of people in the globe. So that's my idea of globalization issues to be incorporated into my course of teaching. I'm not quite sure it is about appreciation of arts only. Appreciation of beauty or appreciation of arts is only part of the course, but it is more about how people frame their mind on the development on what is beauty. I think beauty is also a kind of manifestation of people's culture, and people's culture is about their own way of thinking, and then that goes back to globalization. Of course, when we talk about globalization, we always mean, for example, global issues like global warming or immigrants or war or that kind of very social or economic crisis. But to me, globalization is more than that. The fundamental thing about globalization is that we know the world better. We construct our understanding of the world in many different perspectives, not just from your own, from your own personal background or your context or your own culture. You have to understand people of different cultures. That's my view of globalization. But of course, we can use this to understand, for example, the environmental matters, the environmental problems facing by different people, facing by different parts of the world. But at the same time, for the same issue, it has to be understood from different perspectives. So globalization to me is a way of divergent thinking. Think in others' perspectives instead of just of your own perspective. That's my way of understanding globalization. I don't have a lot of knowledge about the background. I'm not sure how students understand this issue when they first come to the education university. But in a very general sense, I think students in Hong Kong or university students in Hong Kong are very geared to their study, their academic studies. They do their course well, they get the examination, passed, high marks, good GPA. I don't know exactly how much or how much time they will put effort in understanding others' cultures. Of course, I know some students have gone to exchange programs, immersion programs. They would like to explore the world, but still, only part of them. When I have conversation with them, they mainly talk about their assignments. They talk about how can they do well in their essays. But still, of course, some will talk about the exchange experience, the working experience of others, when they go to visit other countries, what they see. So I don't have much information about what is the background, how they are having, how they're behaving, or how they are viewing globalization. I think there are quite a lot of ways, but first of all, I think colleagues, teachers or lecturers, have to first think about this among themselves. Do they have that kind of concept of globalization within their mind? When they plan the course, when they plan their teaching materials, when they plan the assignment, will they incorporate elements of globalization in their course? Of course, I'm not saying that every courses or all courses have to do this. I think some of the courses are more relevant to the issue of globalization, and of course not everyone. So at least colleagues, I think all colleagues can think about this. I'm not saying that there should be one item in the pilot or in the course objective saying that globalization is a must in this course. But I think for many courses, there are some specific courses related to globalization, like some departments have their units or have their area in that kind of global studies. But in other subjects, like myself, I'm not sure others, but myself, my course or my department is Creative Arts and Culture. I think understanding people's culture is a part of globalization. So I would say for my department, it would be good for my colleagues to know more about this, to be aware of this, and see whether they can improve that or whether they can incorporate that in their course. So the first step is to let our colleagues know about this. And I remember there are some generic outcomes or graduate attributes about our students. And in that part, maybe the university can put a little bit more emphasis on incorporating global issues or globalization as one of the generic outcomes or the graduate attributes. But I think they have done that already. But whether this can go through courses and go through programs, that is more important. Another way is to develop specific courses. Elective courses, GE courses, CSL courses, or any other course or PAVE courses that are related to globalization. That will be requiring effort from colleagues having that kind of special expertise in globalization. And in a more generic sense, it is also important for students to know them, to let our students know that our university has that kind of emphasis on this issue, and let them know, and then have some, events or programs which specifically tailored for globalization. But I think we already have for exchange, immersion, study tours. We have international students. We have international student tutors. We have a lot of cultural and social events with other parts, people coming from other parts of the world. We have conferences. We have done most of this. But whether they are done thoroughly and whether there are any evaluation and follow-up, it is another thing. I think we have done most of the things that I have mentioned, but how to coordinate them or how to evaluate them is another matter. That's my thoughts. I think both voluntary effort from students or some bottom-up approach is more culture, or it is more, how to say, it has to develop into culture instead of teaching through courses. Of course, teaching through courses is important. It is more formal. There are proper evaluation, and there are more evidence as through the SAT, as through the students' questionnaire, and then also you can do a lot of research onto that kind of course teaching, whether it is good, whether it's effective. But for non-curricular activities or extracurricular activities, it is a kind of more cultural development. Whether we can associate globalization with certain university, it is important. For example, when we talk about globalization, which university in Hong Kong is more famous, or is more, you will associate that university with that globalization? Maybe we say Hong Kong U because we can see a lot of international students. We can see a lot of international teachers. Perhaps we'll have that kind of association. But when we talk about Education University of Hong Kong, will we relate this university to students having that kind of global awareness? Is different. If there are more students, for example, having exposure in international issues, international events, and then that's made known to the public, and then we gradually develop kind of reputation or a culture of having students with very good, very strong sensitivity, and very good awareness of global issues, then it is another matter. That is also, I think it is important to go in this way. But of course, it takes a lot of time. It also incurs about cost and money, and it also takes time. It cannot be done within a short period of time. But first of all, I would like to clarify internationalization and globalization. They are related, but they are not the same. Having a lot of international students and having a lot of international teachers does not mean that equals to globalization. Globalization, to me, I always emphasize that it's more about understanding, awareness, sensitivity. You know, this kind of thing is very difficult to measure and difficult to develop. It takes time. It will have to become. It takes time anyway. And also, this kind of attitude is, I say, it is also important. Okay, so maybe the example I use about the Hong Kong University, the Hong Kong U, maybe not very good an example, but really, when we have students that come out to speak about global issues, act upon global issues, have campaigns, they join campaigns, they organize events to raise our understanding of other people, other concerns of other people. That, to me, is a better indicator of globalization instead of having international students, international tutors. When you ask me about primary school and secondary schools, of course, our university is the major provider for primary school teachers as well as secondary school teachers. I think it's important because education, education is really a means to develop people's attitude and people's understanding. It is related to knowledge. I'm not saying that globalization is not related to cognition or is not related to knowledge, but it is more about, to me, it is more about our attitude. So teacher, of course, is very important in the role playing development of students' mind or children's mind. So I think it's very important for us, the Education University of Hong Kong, to develop that kind of understanding among our student teachers. In the future, when they go out to schools to work or to have teaching practice, they will have that kind of sensitivity. They have that kind of awareness. When you talk about people of different culture, issues of different parts of the world, they have that kind of sensitivity, awareness, and sympathy.